Hello. Hi Ranav. How are you guys? How are you Ranav? Hi Lishan. How are you man? All good? So first thing as usual before I start the stream, hi Anchal. I just want to clarify, is my audio good? Is the, what do you say, the chessboard clear? And no issues, right? Everything is perfect. If there's any issues, let me know, like, you know, if you guys want me to do some changes with the background or something. Hi Manasvi, hi everyone. Okay, whoever has joined the chat as usual, I would want you guys to, message me in this way, like, greet me and tell like who you are. Like, I know you guys have joined using your parents' account, right? Of course, I don't know your parents. I will only be knowing the student, right? Okay, no issues. Okay, that's great, man. Thank you, Lishan. So audio is good, right? And I have made sure that the latency is at low, so that means um, you know there's no lag. So if I'm talking, like, you won't hear me like 30 seconds later. Okay. Hi Param Tap. Nice to meet you guys. So anyways, I think we have seven viewers, so I think we'll just get started. So good evening everyone. So as usual, I welcome you guys to today's live stream on the series. As you know, learn from the legends, learn from the past legends. So far we have covered Paul Morphy, Mikhail Tal, Alakine, and Immanuel Lasker, Wells, Wilhelm Steinitz, right? So which legend are we covering today? So today we are covering a legend named Jose Rao Capablanca. Okay, Jose Raul Capablanca. So it's not Jose Capablanca. Okay, hi Siddharth. Okay, nice to see you guys. Hi, this is Surya. Hi Surya. Okay. So we are covering Jose Rao Capablanca. So honestly speaking, I didn't get enough time to collect the introduction, but all I can tell you that he's the third world champion. The first world champion being Wilhelm Steinitz. If you guys remember, we have covered him. Second one was Immanuel Lasker, and third one was Capablanca. Okay, so all I know is that there is one crazy fact about Capablanca. Okay, so does anyone, if you guys know who beat Capablanca to become the world champion? Anyone? If you guys know, tell me yes, or else tell me no, guys, in the chat. I, Surya. So it seems that there's no one. No, not William Steinitz. It's Steinitz was the first champion, right? So Steinitz lost to Immanuel Lasker and you. Okay, thank you, man. You know, nice one, Param. Okay, anyways, it wasn't me too. Okay, by the way, um, what was I about to say? I just lost my link. Okay, so if you guys don't know who's the one who beat Capablanca, it was Alakine. Okay, so Alakine was the one who beat Capablanca, and that was a kind of a shocking turn of events. Okay, so Capablanca was clearly the superior one. He was the one who was supposed to beat Alakine, but he kind of underestimated him and he lost. Okay, and one funny thing at that point. Do you guys know how world championships are held nowadays? Right, nowadays there's like a procedures, like you need to play like these tournaments, that tournaments, you have to win that tournaments, and then you have to play the candidates, and then you have to play well in the candidates, and that's when you perform well in the candidates you get to play the world champion, right? So as of now you have Dingliren as the world champion, right? And Gukesh is the one who won the candidates, and he's going to be the one who's going to face Dingliren, right? So that's the system, right? But back in those days, it was not like that. Okay, so let's say you're a world champion, let's say like around 19th century, you just get to pick an opponent. Okay, you just get to pick. Okay, you're the one who's going to play me on the world champion. Are you a strong opponent? Okay, if you're strong, then I'm not going to play you. If you're weak, then I'm going to play you. Okay, so it's kind of weird. Okay, and the thing is, Alakine didn't challenge Capablanca later on. Okay, Capablanca was getting stronger and stronger, right? So that's one crazy funny fact. I thought I'll share it to you. Anyways, so we're done with the introduction, right? So let's get started. So give me a couple of minutes, so couple of seconds, I guess. Deduction Derry, hello sir. Do you know my name? No, man. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure you're Clarence, okay, or Christopher. Um, yeah. So are you guys ready for the stream, guys? Okay. So we'll be covering two games. Okay, one was a game for which he got a brilliancy prize. So that game is a bit tactical. The second game is an end game brilliancy. It's very instructive and it's crazy too, right? Because we are crazy people. We have to show you guys crazy games, right? Okay. The first game, it's between Capablanca and Jose Rao. Sorry, Capablanca and Jose Rao. They're the same thing. Capablanca and Bernstein. Okay. So Capablanca was playing as white. So he starts off with the move d4 and Bernstein plays d5. So knight f3, knight f6, and we have the move c4. Okay, so for the ones who don't know, this is a very common move, c4. It's called the Queen's Gambit. We sacrifice the pawn to get the center. Okay, not gonna go on about it. Right, it's just the opening phase. So e6 and knight c3, developing pieces. Knight bd7, and white plays the move bishop g5, pinning the knight to the queen. So what does black have to say about that? So black plays the move bishop e7 to unpin the piece, right? I don't want my queen to be pinned. Doesn't like that. So Capablanca plays the move e3 after developing the bishop, right? And at one point, he's going to play the move bishop d3. So he plays the move c6, and by at one point it means now, right? So at this point he plays the move bishop d3, okay, which is actually not very common nowadays. Okay, nowadays all I know is that even though I'm not a Queen's Gambit player, all I know that people play the move queen, not queen c1, oops, either queen c2 or rook c1, like that's what people usually play, because if you play the move bishop d3, what happens is black is going to take on c4, which which actually happened, and the point of him taking on c4 is to make the bishop move again. Okay, as you guys know, the opening principles, you should not move the same piece twice, right? So black is telling that, okay, you have to move the bishop the second time to capture the pawn, right? So he's making him waste a time. If it was white's turn to play, he would want to do something like castling, right? But he doesn't have time for that because he's going to lose his bishop. Okay, so that's just the simple reason. So he has to move the bishop again, no time to castle, and now black uses this opportunity to hit the bishop. Okay, opening up the square for this bishop to come here, and now he has to play the move bishop d3, and he plays the move a6, okay, which I didn't understand, and I really didn't want to understand because maybe I thought it's theory, and turns out that this is a theoretical move. Okay, just strengthening these pawns. So what does Capablanca do about it? He plays the move e4. Okay, he takes the full two pawns in the center, right? So if you guys are beginners, this is what you guys want. You want to achieve two pawns in the center. Uh, that's just going to be a good position for you. Okay, you will have maximum control over the center and your pieces will be more active. It also restricts their pieces from any activity. Okay, so here you would expect black to play something like bishop b7 or short castles, but here Bernstein plays a very weird move. Okay, he does a weird sacrifice. Okay, he plays the move e5. Okay, this is kind of a very interesting move. It might look like black just does not know how to count. Like, okay, you have like one defender, but black has like two attackers, but let's see what's the point. So Capablanca is like, okay, you're giving me a pawn, you're offering something, and when someone offers me something, I just take it. I don't be very formal about it, right? So d into e5 attacks the knight, and where do you move the knight, guys? Uh, would won't move it here because that's a donkey knight. You have to move the knight to g4 because the point is to win back the knight. Sorry, win back the lost pawn. Okay, and also you note that the bishop is being attacked twice, right? So you would have an option to take here, but then that just makes things even more worse, right? You're gonna just lose this pawn. Okay, so for that very reason he doesn't trade. He's like, you know what, I don't want to trade, I'll just hold on to this free pawn you gave me, right? I'm just fine with this pawn. I just like this pawn. Okay, I'm not going to give you the pawn back. You have to earn the pawn. Okay, you're gonna take some time to win that pawn. So what are you gonna do about it now? So why did you give me that pawn? So like he's like, okay, I want to play the move bishop c5. So we have two attackers here. So we defended by playing short castles, right? And now for the beginners, I'm pretty sure you guys might be wondering why not just play the move knight into f2, right? Just play this, and you won a rook. Congratulations, right? But then again, it's very important that I address this because a lot of beginners like to do this, right? They just like to give the knight and a bishop for a rook. So if you guys do your math correctly, a rook is worth 5 points, and a knight and a bishop 3 points each. If you add them, you have lost 6 points. Okay, so that's not good. So you're at a loss here. Okay, so just wanted to make that point clear. So don't do this, guys. If you're a beginner watching here, don't give your knight and a bishop for a rook. Okay, anyways, he plays the move queen c7. Again, we have like multiple attackers on this pawn. So as of now, black is just focused on winning this lost pawn. Okay, so what is Bernstein saying here? So it's like I'm down a pawn, but I have like decent development and I have pressure on this e5 pawn. This pawn is a doubled pawn, so I'm gonna win this at some point, and when I win this pawn, I'm gonna have my pieces in the center, right? So let's see what Capablanca does. He plays the move Rook C1, right? Very principled move, taking the rook to a semi-open file, right? Looks very principled, looks like a very normal move, but you'll see later on that this rook becomes a really big pain. Okay, it becomes a really big pain. I'll show you guys how. Okay, it turns out to be a great move. So first of all, um, it's time to turn back to the chat. It looks like this pawn is hanging, right? We have one, two, and three attackers, and we have two defenders, one and two. So if you do the math, you can just capture the knight, right? With any knight. So is this good, guys, or is it bad? So let's turn to the chat. Okay, am I not sitting clearly or something? Is it good? Is there any tactically sharp guys over here who can spot why this is not good? Anyone? Bab, B-A-B. What is that? It's bad. Okay, B-A-D. It's bad. Okay, it's good. Okay, let me just show you some tactical point. Yeah, the queen gets pinned, right? Okay, obviously, right. So you have to notice over here, right? The knight is being pinned by the bishop, so there could be some tactics here, right? And upon that, you see that there's some interaction happening over here, right? So these are certain things you have to note, right? Mental notes are very important, which you guys don't do. So I'll just show you what happens in case you run into this line. There's a crazy line, okay? There's a crazy line here. So knight takes e5, of course you need to capture. And now we have the knight pinned, right? So what do you do when a knight is pinned and it's guarded? You attack him again. So what's the right way to attack? You play the move queen h5. You're putting pressure on the pinned piece. So you might say, so we play the move f6 and defend the knight. So if you play the move f6, then I call the arbiter, guys, because it's a check, right? So what's the only way to defend the knight? Okay, let's see. Ah, I have a bishop. I'll put my bishop over here on d4 and I defend the knight. Life is chill. Well, you have defended the knight, but the tactics doesn't end there. You play the move knight d5. Cool looking move. If you take the knight, I take your queen. Thank you so much for the queen, right? That doesn't happen, of course. So I attack the knight. Sorry, I attack the queen. If you move your queen anywhere else, I just take the knight. Right? Life is good for me. So the only way to save the knight is to play the move queen d6. Or maybe not. There is also queen d8, right? Yeah, there's also queen d8. But okay, let's say queen d6. Doesn't really matter because whatever he plays, the line goes like this, okay? You're going to sack your rook. And the point is, if the queen takes, which he has to, right? If the knight takes, you lose the bishop, you lose the queen, right? So if the queen takes, you take the knight, and after the bishop takes, you take the queen. So you take the bishop with the check, and he has to block, right? Otherwise, he's going to lose castling rights. I mean, if he doesn't, right, this is just losing. Like you have queen e7, and I think there's this checkmate, right? Yeah, this is just checkmate. So he has to play something like, what do you say? When this check comes, he has to play something like bishop e6. And now it looks like you can play knight c7. That's what I thought initially, but you can just take this pawn, attacking the rook. The rook has to come to f8, guarded by the king. And now we play knight f6. You give a check, and now no more castling. The king comes to e7, and you play a move e5. The threat being, as you see, bishop e4 skewering the queen to the rook. Right. So let's say black plays the move rook c8. No skewer for you, buddy. There is a line that goes queen g5, and this position is quite lost. Okay, because there could be some crazy discoveries, right? You might win. You might win some material. You never know, right? This is just complete disaster. Even though white is like down material. Okay. So coming back to the position, we can conclude that after rook c1, it's not good to take the pawn, right? So turns out that black was good. He didn't take the pawn. He played the move f6. And again, before I move on, beginners watching here, never play the move f6, guys, because it weakens the king. Just because these guys do it doesn't mean you do it, guys. Okay, very important. So if you just take here, you just lose your bishop. If you love your bishop, you move your bishop back to g3. You safeguard your bishop, and then you plan to take on f6, giving a discovery, right? Okay. So what does black do? Black doesn't have anything. He just takes the pawn, and yeah, congratulations, black. You have successfully recaptured the pawn that you just lost, right? So it seems that now black has, good play now. He can just play the move knight f6, and after that this bishop will get happy that he might get some chance to participate in the game, and then he's going to castle, and then life is chill for black. Well, that's what black thought. That was until white uncocked the crazy looking move b4 with a double exclamatory mark, guys. Right, I know you guys were waiting for this. When will this boring positional chess get over? Right? There you have it. There you have it. Now it's time to turn to the chat. If it's black to play, what happens if you play the move bishop into b4, guys? Chat, over to you, guys. What happens? I think I need to cut my hair. Almost. Over to you, guys. Can you guys find the tactical intricacies? Knight d6. Yes. Knight d6 is obviously the move here. So knight d6, forking the queen and the bishop. You're going to win the bishop. No, says black. I'm going to play queen d6, defending the bishop. Right? So white is like, fine. I had no intention to win your bishop. My intention was to exchange your bishop. And the point is that after this, I'm going to take on c6. And I'm a genius because I'm Capablanca, and my rook is going to the 7th rank. That's all, okay? kind of messed that up. So rook c7, and this position is quite pleasant for white. Okay, so that's just the thing that he calculated. That's what Capablanca wanted. Okay, so black is like, tricky guy, tricky boy. Okay, I'm not gonna fall for your tactics again. Okay, not again. I mean, I'm not gonna fall for your tactics. I am not gonna take your pawn. I'm not gonna fall for your bait. I'm just gonna play bishop a7, and my bishop is doing fine in this diagonal, right? So Capablanca is, wow, brilliant. You know something? This was also part of my plan. So what has this genius cooked up? Guys, there's another brilliancy coming up. It's white to play. Can you guys guess what brilliant sacrifice he did right now? Okay. By the way, this is just a purely a positional sacrifice, guys. This is a purely a positional sacrifice. Okay, let's see. Over to the chat again. This is a purely a positional sacrifice. N into b5. Almost. You're very close, Lishan. You're very close. It's not n into b5. Okay, but you are kind of close. Okay, so just pick up from the clue what I just said when I said you're close. Let's see. I'll give you guys a minute, right? Because I don't have patience to wait for the chat. Maybe I do, or maybe not. Let's see. ND5. ND5 is pretty cute too, but no, it's a sacrifice, right? ND5. It's not a sacrifice because after ND5, black is smart enough to not take the knight. N into e5. That also makes sense. N into e5, right? Because after n into e5, you might have some pin tactics. But I don't know. I'm not so sure. Bishop into b5. We have, who's Kavya Rani again? I forgot. Kavya Rani. I forgot who you are, man. I thought it was. Let me check who was Kavya Rani. Hi sir. That's all. You don't even mention a name, huh? Kavya. Okay. Kudos to Kavya, whoever she is. Okay, oops, sorry guys. Just messed it up for 1 second. Yeah. So bishop into b5, guys. Crazy looking sacrifice. What's the point? So whichever pawns he captures with, like c pawn or b pawn, in the game it was a takes b5. The point is now we go knight takes b5. Right. Now you can't capture because if he captures, you just lose the queen. Right. I do this because there are some beginners over here, right? This is a pin. This is a pin, guys. This is a pin. So he plays the move queen d8. And what is the point? The point is now you jump with the knight to d6. Right? You're giving a check. And the whole point is now the black can't castle. Okay? Black can't castle. So he has to move his king. So king f8 was played. Right? And now you play the move rook into c6. So now if you count the material, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So white has 6 pawns and black has 3 pawns. So basically, if you do your math, guys, if you do your math, one piece is equals to 3 pawns, right? So white did not sacrifice anything. The game is quite equal, right? So in return, he also has a passer over here, which can be a very good thing in an endgame, right? Did I forgot to mention you guys that Capablanca is one of the best endgame players of all time? Yeah, I did. I did. He's a genius, okay? He's a genius endgame, which you guys will see in the second game, okay? I'm not going to spoil it. There are certain endgames over here too. So anyways, moving on. So black plays the move knight b6, just adding a bit more support to this bishop because there are like two attackers, right? And we need sufficient defense. So what does white do? White likes to attack the queen, so he plays the move bishop h4, attacking the queen. Okay, so he moves the queen to d6, d7. So normally you guys would be like, okay, my rook is being attacked. I don't want to lose my rook. I would play the move like b5 to support the rook, or you might just move your rook back to just save it, right? But this is Capablanca here, and this is a sacrificing game. So look at checks, captures, attacks, and he plays the move knight takes c8, guys. Another brilliancy. What is happening here? It's raining brilliant moves, guys. It's raining brilliant moves. So what's the point? Okay. First of all, like if you just go for a queen exchange, I don't know why you would do that though, but the line goes like this, like you just take, and then they're just gonna lose the rook. Okay, so that's just one thing. Okay, but anyways, uh, the rook is just hanging. Right, knight takes c8. The rook does not have any support. Right, so queen takes c6 happens. And now let's turn to the chat again. Can you guys find the continuation? Okay, let's see how tactically aware you guys are. Again, look for forcing moves, guys. What's the first forcing move that comes in your mind? Can you guys tell me one good line here, like with the continuation? Like let's say you say bishop e7, king f7, knight g5, any line. Like it's just an example I just gave. Okay, I think you guys might take some time writing. I guess that's just gonna be an annoyance. I feel. A lot of people, I ask my students why you guys don't answer is like you guys are bad at typing. Oh, no ways, guys. This is the powerful generation, right? Come on. I know you guys can type faster, right? There are some students who can type faster than me. I'm pretty sure, right? Bishop e6, bishop e6, bishop e7. Everyone's behind bishop e7. Why do you guys love the move bishop e7? Guys, open your eyes wider and look for some other checks too, right? Like just like how Manasvi is doing. Queen d8, king f7, queen e7. Okay, that is a line too. Okay, but again, after queen d8, king f7, why not just take the rook, Manasvi? Isn't that good for you? Taking the rook is good, right? Why you'll be happy with 5 points, right? Yeah. So if you can calculate a bit deeper, after queen d8, Manasvi, black can play queen e8, right? So if you can try to calculate from there, right? Just a little bit of calculation exercises, guys. N into e5. Wow, out of nowhere, there are a lot of things happening. We're attacking the king here, Surya. When you're attacking the king, we don't look for pawns. And N into e5, you just lose the pawn. Like if you just see carefully, Surya, there is a knight on g4. It is going to recapture your knight. Okay? Queen d8 check. Of course, you have to go with this variation, guys. So queen d8 check. If he moves his king, that means he doesn't love his rook, right? He's gonna lose his rook, right? So the only thing he has to do is safeguard his, it's just block. And now you play the move bishop e7, taking advantage of the fact that the queen can't capture. It's a pin, right? And even if he could, he wouldn't, right? Because you have the knight that can capture or the queen that can capture. Right, so king f7, and now you just start harassing the king, guys. You just start harassing the king. First of all, you play knight d6 check. Yes, we win the king, we win the queen. It's a fork, but don't get too excited, guys. Don't forget your queen is also hanging, so it's not that simple. So king g6 happens, and now you harass the queen with new pieces, right? So when you're attacking, you keep using new pieces. You get them into the action. So you play knight h4 check. So king h5, and now Capablanca decides to take the queen. And if he takes my queen, I also have to take his queen, right? So he takes our queen too. And now he plays knight takes g7 instead of just capturing the rook. Okay. And the only move black has is king h6. This is the only move he has. And now you have to start harassing the queen. Sorry, the queens are off. Not the queen, guys. You have to still continue harassing the king, right? So when you're giving the check, you have two checks that can land on f5, right? So you have to choose the right check. The right check is knight gf5, because if you give check with this knight, then as you see the king can escape to g6, and then he will go to f7, and then he'll run to Japan and he'll be fine, right? So we don't want the king to run to Japan or China or Hong Kong or anywhere, okay? So we want the king to stay in the middle, right? Just come to our area. That's what we want. We want to drag him to the center, right? So now black plays the move h3, attacking the knight. And what's funny is the knight just does not have any square, guys. If he goes here, you just lose the knight. And if he goes to h6, can you guys find the win here? If he goes to h6, what happens, guys? Back to play. White to play and win. Oh, I can't even scroll down anymore. Huh? G4. No, G4 is winning. G4, knight into G4. Look beyond G4 too. I mean, knight into G4, H into G4 is good for you. Look beyond G4, guys. There's even a better move than G4. NG7, yes. Dishan, well said. NG7 is mate. NG7 or even NG3, right? You can pick any mate you guys want, right? So for that very reason, he can't move his knight. So he's like, okay, fine, I can't move my knight, but what I can do is attack your bishop, right? I'm attacking your bishop. So what do you do about it? What do you do about it? You can capture the rook, but why to capture the rook when you can just capture the knight, right? When you can capture the knight with check. Very important, right? The knight doesn't have time to capture the bishop because it's a check. So king into g4 and now bishop into d8. You know, it would have been really awesome if you can play the move f3, right? Sadly, this bishop is there, so you can't play the move f3. Right? If you play the move f3, the bishop just swoops in and just captures your king. Okay, or he just calls the arbiter. Pretty simple, right? That's just my favorite dialogue. So, rook into d8. Okay, and now let's count the material, right? Lot of things have been blowing off the board. Lot of trades has kept happening. So what's the material? So two minor pieces, one major pieces. So what do you say? The piece count is equal, but then white is up like two pawns, right? Two, three, four. Yeah, he's up two pawns, and this is a passer. You have connected passes. So passes are pawns that does not have any other pawns stopping it from going forward and promoting. Okay, so that is pretty much it. So in this game, now the next part of the game, Capablanca just converts his advantages by pushing the pawn, as you see. So first thing, he plays the move g3, activating his king to g2. Very important endgame principle. Activate your king, guys, during the endgame. Activate your pieces, activate your king. So rook to d2. Rooks like to come to the second rank and attack the pawns, right? So he plays king g2. And now he plays rook e2 to attack this pawn, which I feel was a mistake. He could have just captured this pawn. Even though he's still losing though. But rook e2, and anyways, now Capablanca just marches his pawns. Okay. Plays knight b6 to attack these pawns. And now he plays knight e3 check. Okay. And king h5, and now he plays a5 to attack the knight. Just starts marching now. Knight d7 and knight gf5, probably to play the move g4. If you play the move g4 now, you just lose the knight, right? So first he protects the knight and then he prepares the move g4. Okay, and here knight to f6 because black saw that he's planning g4 and also to attack this weak e4 pawn. So Capablanca was like, nope, you're not having my pawns. If you want to take my pawn, go ahead. But then if he takes his pawn, then he's going to march. He's going to march and he's going to continue marching, right? So that's not good. So he plays bishop to d4. And now he plays king f3 to protect the pawn. And now he attacks this pawn. And now this part is very easy. He just goes on marching. a6, and now the pawn is being protected. So bishop a7 to just blockade this pawn, right? You don't want it to move forward. And now he plays rook c1. So do you guys know where this rook is going, right? I know you guys are smart enough to figure that out. You guys know where the rooks love to go, right? The favorite place for the rook. Rooks on the 7th rank, rooks on the 7th heaven, whatever you guys like to call it. The rook is coming right over here, right? To disturb the bishop and to disturb black's peace in his life, right? So rook b2 attacking the pawn. And now he plays he plays g4, dragging the king to g6, which is the only move. And now he plays rook c7, declaring the end of the game, right? So this is actually a double attack. He's attacking the bishop and also he's threatening something called as a hook mate, right? So like let's say something like this. Now you have this checkmate. This is called as a hook mate, guys. The knight, pawn and the rook combination like this, right? The bishop a7. And here at this point, black could have just resigned, okay? Black could have resigned, like Bernstein could have resigned, but he didn't resign. He thought like, let's just play on for some moves. He just sacrificed his rook for some no reason. Like, he thought, he wanted to make the world clear, like, you should never resign, right? You should never resign. What if Capablanca blunders stalemate? You never know, right? What if Capablanca blunders stalemate? So he plays on, plays king f3, and now he resigns. Okay, now he's like, you know what, Capablanca is not blundering the stalemate. He's a genius, right? So it's not happening, guys. Not happening. So this is the point where black, resigns and white wins the game. So a beautiful game where white just sacrifices, does some sacrifices, wins some pawns, right? He just sacrificed pieces so that he can open up the king, right? So that is the type of sacrifices people should be looking for. You can call it as a positional sacrifice, or you can just call it whatever sacrifice you want. Sacrifice is just a sacrifice, right? So he won a brilliancy award for this game, right? Uh, Steinitz also played a brilliant game in that year, but this game just outshined that game. Okay, so let's move on to the next game, guys. Okay, again, as you guys know, right? I covered two games. The next game is very important, right? This is like the must know end game. Okay, must know. Before you guys leave this world, you have to see this game, guys. You have to see this game, right? So let's just have a look at this beautiful game, guys. Without any further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed the previous game. Let me just take a deep breath, okay? Because I'm a chatterbox. I've been talking a lot, right? Oof. I'll just drink a water. I'm just gonna take a water break or something. I'll just be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. I'm back, guys. That was so quick. What if you guys leave or something, guys? Am I lagging again? Yeah, I have to lag by 10 seconds or something, right? Of course. Okay, this is the brilliant endgame. Okay, and this game was against a very strong player called as Tartakower. Tartakower was supposed to be a world champion at one point, right? But unfortunately, he couldn't win. So this is that caliber level of opponent. Okay, so this is not some easy peasy lemon squeezy opponent or something. Okay, so as usual, the game goes with d4. The very boring positional chess is gonna be, you have to tolerate the boring part to one point. Okay, I'm gonna cut to the chase very soon. Don't worry, guys. So he plays e6 and now knight f3, and black plays the move f5. So again, beginners, don't play the move f5. Don't push your f pawns. Okay, never push your f pawns. Never ever do it, guys. Never ever. Just because they do it doesn't mean you have to. Okay. Just learn the good things from them, okay, not the terrible things. Anyways, this is, if they are playing this, they have studied this line. Okay, so white plays c4. Of course you have to play c4, right? That's what everyone does. So knight f6, and now bishop g5. Of course you have to pin this. We have seen this many times. I'm not going to like repeat myself. You pin the knight and then you unpin the knight. Play knight c3, short castles, and these are all normal moves, just getting the pieces out. You have seen this, right? Okay, b6 to fianchet to a bishop over here, putting the bishop over here in the long diagonal. Bishop d3, bishop b7, castles, and queen e8. Okay, a little bit of a new move, right? Not something like knight c6. So in the Stonewall Dutch, the idea is to go somewhere like queen h5, and then knight g4, and then probably is going to threaten mate at one point. Okay, so here Capablanca plays queen e2. Okay, now if you play queen h5, you can play e4. Okay, a little bit of positional thing, so something like takes. and now your pieces are well placed in the center. Okay, so don't dwell much on that move. So for that reason, he doesn't play that. He postpones his plan. He's like, you know what? I don't want you to push the pawn. I just don't like you to push. I don't feel comfortable when you push the pawn. So you know what? I'm gonna play the move knight e4. Okay, so no pushing the pawn for you. This is also a thematic idea. If you take the knight, which you will, right, at one point. Let's say you take the knight. So first queen takes. If you take the knight, what happens is this f file opens up, right? And he's going to have a pleasant attacking idea. So something like queen h4 after the knight moves, right? So something like that. Okay, this is what generally the idea behind this opening is. Okay, so bishop takes e7, and now instead of just recapturing the bishop, if you guys have heard the concept of danger levels, right? What's more stronger than capturing the bishop is to attack the knight and capture the queen, right? So if you save the bishop, saying that yay, you just missed it, then you're just gonna lose your queen, right? So sorry, if you just capture the rook, you're gonna lose the queen, right? So what does he do? He just after this move, you have to capture the knight, right? And after this exchange, so what you can notice is that white has gotten double pawns, which is something that I teach beginners not to do, right? But here for the, even though white has gotten double pawns, he has gotten this file opened, right? And if you guys know who likes to come to the open file, right? Who likes to come to the open file? It's these big guns over here, right? So here, uh, sorry guys, what black is planning to do is he's planning to play the move queen a3 to attack these weak pawns. Okay, so Capablanca stops it. He stops it by playing the move a4, right? Brilliant move. Just seeing this threat. Okay, so what does he do here? So black does a weird move. He just captures the knight. I don't know why he does that. Like why would he want to give up this strong bishop, right? So white just captures the bishop back, and now he develops his knight, right? Of course, the queen is attacking the rook. He has to shield it, right? And now he plays the move rook fb1. Okay, just taking over this semi-open file. For the beginners who does not know what is a semi-open file, okay, first thing is you have to understand what's an open file. An open file is a file that does not have any pawns in it. So if there is this, if there is, if in this position, if this pawn was not there, then it's an open file, right? So here there is this pawn, so it's a semi-open file. Okay, so anyways, so he plays the move rook a e8, planning to play e5. Okay, so let's say something like h3. He's going to play e5, and if you take, you have knight takes, and the knight attacks the queen. You save the queen, and it seems that black is having a good position because now this pawn structure is a pretty much ugly thing, right? And this endgame is not good for black, right? And Capablanca is very sensitive about his endgame, right? He does not want to screw up his endgame, and so should you not. Okay, endgame is like the most important thing ever, right? You should not screw up your endgames. Okay, so he plays the move queen h3, which looks pretty much weird, but it's a great move. So let's put it as a great move. The idea is you do not play the move e5 because if you do that, then you lose control over this pawn, right? I can just take over here. You're just gonna lose your pawn. Whoa, whoa, not there. Sorry, sorry. Then you lose the queen, right? My bad, my bad. You play the move bishop into. That would have been awesome if Capablanca blunders his queen, right? They would just take the brilliancy award from him. Did we really give the brilliancy award to you? My god. Okay, anyways, so that was his point. Okay. There's also another point, I guess, which I might be forgetting. Okay, which we'll carry on later. So black does the main idea in the stone wall. He plays the move rook f6. He's lifting his rook to h6 to attack the queen, right? So he plays the move f4. Okay, maybe that's not his plan. He wanted to play rook here and then push the pawn. Okay, so he plays the move f6, controlling the e5 square. Okay, I forgot, right? That was the main break here. Black wants to play e5, and what do? We do something what black does not want, right? We stop their plans, right? That's our duty. So black plays the move knight f5. Beginners watching here, this is a donkey knight, right? Don't do this move. But Tartakower had an idea to attack this weak pawn. Okay, so that's why he played the move. So when he does it, it's cool. But when you guys do it, then it's not. Okay. So white plays queen f3 because he knows he's going to attack him, right? So he's like, no, 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 I don't want to be attacked, right? So he just gets his queen to f3. And now his new plan is to play e4, break over here. Okay. So black plays d6. He's like, you know what? Since you stopped me to play e5, I'm going to prepare e5. I'm going to play here, and then I'm going to play here. Okay. So white is like, okay, you know what? My rook has done its job over here. I'm going to put my rook here. And now my new plan is to play the move e4. Okay. So now he's like, if you play e5, there's some crazy tactical tension here, which we don't want to delve into. Okay. So he plays queen d7 because he was kind of uncomfortable with the rook x-raying the queen. Okay, and that's what high level players do. When they see an x-ray, they just move out of it. Okay, in chess we call this as prophylaxis. Okay, which I'm not going to take my time explaining because then you have to sit for another hour, and I know you guys won't, right? Because you kids are not patient. Otherwise, I would have explained you. So no prophylaxis explanation for you guys. Okay. So he plays the move e4. That's part of his plan, right? And now you have to take, and now you take with the queen. We call this as a battery, right? And we're threatening some stuffs here. So turns out that black sees what white is threatening, and that's what you beginners have to learn, right? When you see a threat, you defend it. So you play the move g6, defending the threat over here. Okay. So white plays the move g3, defending his pawn. Okay, he doesn't want his queen to babysit his pawn. Okay, because queen has some other things in life. She has some other important things in life, right? So black plays king f8. Probably wants to play d5, which is what he wants, and he wants to support this rook. Okay, he's uncomfortable with this battery, and now he's like, you're not the only one who can move his king. I can move with my king, right? So black plays rook f7 and white plays h4. Okay, so probably some h5 ideas to you know make this pawns a little bit weak. So let's say something like h5. If black takes, then this pawn will be weak, this pawn will be weak, and you can like easily attack on the king side, right? So what happens here is he plays the move d5, and now we are going to get to the end game. Okay, the most awaited end game. Some exchanges happen. He takes, and now you take, and you take, and you take, and you take, and you are into an end game. When the queens are off the board, when a rook is off the board, you are an end game. So this is the very instructive movement here. Okay. So before we continue, can you guys find a weak pawn in white's territory, guys? Let's see how smart you guys are. Even the beginners can do this, guys. Can you guys find a weak pawn in white's territory? Yes, 7th rank. Rooks, rook, rook. Okay, waiting for the answer, guys. What can you guys find a very weak pawn in black's territory? The c3, right? Manasvi, good. So this pawn is a weakness, right? So black has a very easy plan. So he's going to play rook here and then rook here, and he's going to attack the pawn. So this is the base pawn. So it's also, we call this as a backward pawn. Okay. So as of now, it looks like black does not have any weak pawns. Like, it's not, I mean, these pawns tend to be weak, but you can't attack them, right? It's not even in an open file, right? If this pawn was not there, then we can play this rook to c1 and attack this, right? But that's not the case over here. So Capablanca was like, you know what? Black does not have any weakness. That's sad. You know what? I'll do something. I'm going to create a weakness for black. I want to create a weakness, whatever happens. You know what? Boom. Let's just go to this. Let's do this. Let's just do this. I want to do some weaknesses. So it's just an outright pawn sack, right? It's a pawn sack. What's the point? So if he takes on h5, now Black has officially won a pawn, right? But these pawns are doubled. It's very easy to attack them. You just play the move rook h1 and you just get this pawn. Simple as that, right? And there's no way to defend it. So something like king f8, you play here. Now we attack this pawn. Now we attack this pawn at one point. So everything looks like it's going to collapse, okay? So for that very reason, black decided not to take on h5. Tartakov was like, you know what, I'm going to play the move rook f6 following my plan to go rook c6 and attack your weak pawn, right? So it's like fine. Now he takes here and he takes here, and now we have another weakness. Now this is a weak pawn, right? Because there is no other pawns. We can even call this as an isolated pawn, right? A pawn that does not have any other friends. He's sad in his life, so we need to attack sad people, right? Okay. So now if you guys are wondering, now the plan is pretty much simple. He plays the move rook c6, right? So let's say rook h1, taking over the open file. He plays rook c6, then you're gonna cry, right? So how does white make black cry if he plays rook c6, thinking, I just attacked the pawn? Find the crying move here, guys. How does white to play and black make black cry? What do you do? How do you make black cry, guys? Come on. Nobody's not spot. Does it really take so much time to write the answer? Like seriously? I wonder. BB6, you mean BB5? Rook h6. No, not rook h6. Rook h6 is fine. Rook h8, BB5, guys. There is Lishan and Anshul. BB5 and just black cries. This is a skewer, right? This is a skewer. And turns out this is Tartakov we are talking about. He's not a beginner. He's not going to blunder some skewer, right? So he plays the move king f8, and now the next move is pretty much easy, right? So what does white do? Again, you know where the white, you know where white likes to put his rooks, right? You know where Capablanca also likes to put his rooks, right? It is rook. Not here. It's h7. I know. You guys are like, why not just attack this pawn? If you just attack the pawn, it's very easy to defend. Like, you can play king f7, right? I will tell you guys the benefit of this move, okay? Rook h7. This is something every beginner should learn. Everyone. Rooks on the 7th rank is like the place where the rooks belong, okay? So first advantage is the rooks attack this pawn, okay? It's attacking all the pawns on the 7th. If the c pawn moves, it attacks the a pawn, right? And the second advantage is the king. The king is going to be in the 8th rank forever. Forever and ever once the rook is here, right? And in an end game, right, you have to know that the king is the most active thing, right? I mean, you have to activate your king, right? That is the most important principle, and that important principle was built after watching this game. Okay, this game was such a legend that everyone, you know, if you guys want to teach them the principle of activating the king, they just straight up show this game. Okay, they just straight up show this game. So, anyways, just moving on. Um, Black plays his plan. He plays the move rook c6, and now he plays the move g4. Okay, he's trying to create some passes over here. Okay, the knight hastens to join into the activity. So here knight c4, and he plays g5, which was really something weird. I really didn't understand this move. Okay, why would you want to play g5? Why would you want to make this pawn weak? Okay, now I know pretty much everyone would have played the move f5. Okay, I'm pretty sure I would bet $100 that everyone would have played the move f5. But this is not a good move, guys. If I remember, I told you this pawn is a weak pawn, right? So you do not want to exchange your his weak pawn for your strong passes. Okay, this is really not a good thing. Okay, so he plays the move g5, binding this weakness. Okay, and you see what's the next plan. Okay, so he gives a check, and now that allows the king to come up. So king f3, and now he plays knight f5. So this is another principle. The knights are like blockaders of pawn. Okay, they just like to block pawns. Okay, so what does he do? You know, you're not blocking my pawn. Says white, I'm just gonna trade. He's gonna trade, and if it is white to play, this is not some sacrifice, guys. This is not a puzzle. I would want you guys to tell what would you guys play here. Okay, what would you guys play? Think and tell me, guys, quickly. It's a positional move, endgame positional move. Let's see how good you guys are endgame. Or is my chat just crazy at tactics, right? Prove it to me that you guys have some endgame knowledge, guys. You have to prove your worth today. Okay? It seems like white is losing, right? Because he's going to lose the pawn. Rook d7. Ah, that makes sense. Rook d7 makes sense. You know, if he takes on c3, you're going to take on e4. Okay, that move was definitely on the radar, Lishan. Good point. Okay, but the move that white played is going to blow your mind. Okay, it's going to blow your mind. Anyone, everyone, RD7. So one guy says RD7. You guys are going to stick to that only, huh? Sad guys. Come on, make up your own answers, yeah. Come on, guys. 7. Rook h8. So everyone are busy moving. Oh, Rook h8 is something that I wouldn't play Ron of. The thing is, I know you guys are like, you know, a lot of beginners are like, yeah, I want to check. I see a check, I play a check. Right. There's a very famous quote from, like, you know, Bobby Fischer. A pasture sees a check, he plays a check. This is a terrible move, okay, for anyone watching here, because now you're allowing the king to come to the activity. You're making him get active. You know, Tata cover is going to love you so much if you play this move, guys. You know, he's like, God bless you if you play this move. Okay. So the time's up. He plays the move King G3. Okay, King G3. What is happening here? Don't you care about the pawns? Okay, so let me say the plan. The king is going to f6. Okay, so the plan is like he's going to go King h4. He's going to push this pawn, and then he's going to march his king to f6. Okay, so let's see how it goes. So black takes the pawn with a check. Rook c3. So where do you go? Do you go down or do you go up? So if you guys are crazy, you guys are going to go down, right? But if you guys are, I mean, a lot of crazy guys go up also, right? I was using crazy as a term to as a compliment, but okay. King h4 is what he plays because you want to get your king, right? And now, what does he do? He plays rook f3, which was a mistake, okay? Which is a mush mistake. Now, there's a saying in endgame like, you know, pawns are worth the gold. You know, in the endgames, pawns are very important. You can't afford to lose them, right? Because they are the ones in the future that will make you a new queen and win the game. But Capablanca was like, you know what? What's more stronger than making a pawn into a queen is just winning the game. Okay, it's just going straight up for the throne. That's what Capablanca believed in. So you know what? He plays rook f3, attacking the pawn, and he plays the move g4, sacrificing another pawn with check. Insane. This guy just loves to sacrifice pawns. Okay. In the previous game, he sacrificed a knight for the pawns, and right now he's just sacrificing the pawn, which is the most important thing. Right? Crazy, man. This is just crazy. Okay. So where do you go with the king? Go king g5. Right? And you know where this king is heading, right? The king is heading to. It's just heading to the victory. Right? So he's just going for the throne. I don't care. You want to promote your pawn? Go on. You can promote. You can take all my pawns. But all in return is you have to just give me a checkmate. That's all. Okay. So what does black do? He plays the move rook e4. Okay. Now if you guys might be wondering, why not just use a bit more energy to capture the pawn? Right. So if he captures the pawn, then he'll play the move king f6, and it's threatening mate, right? So he has to move his king to g8, and now like you can play the move rook d7, and you can threaten mate. And this position is terrible, guys. This is just lost. I don't see how we can stop the mate also. So he has to go rook e4, and now you give this check, and it's game over, right? I don't see any other ways. Like if he can't move his king anywhere, right? This is just the losing position now. So for that move, for that reason, he plays the move rook e4 to guard the king from any checks. Okay. So what does he do? He plays king f6. Okay, that's what his plan is, right? And now white is threatening to play rook h8 checkmate. Okay, the king is like beautifully placed, activating the king. So he activated the king by sacrificing a couple of pawns, right? So what does Capablanca do? Sorry, what does Tartakov do? He sees that there's a mate threat. Of course, he should, right? So he plays the move king g8. Okay. If you play king e8, then you can just push the pawn. So that's not good, right? So he plays king g8, and now everyone would be like, ah, now we'll take the pawn and life is chill, right? You can, you can, but if you just take the pawn, you can play rook e8, and the game kind of can prolong. Okay, this is still winning by any ways. But Capablanca was a genius. You know what? Let's give a check. Okay, the point of this check is wherever the king moves. So in the game, you just played king to h8, right? Now we can take the pawn, and because now we can push the pawn with a check, right? So that's what his plan was. Okay. So now, what does he do? He plays rook e8 because mate is threatened, right? So if you guys remember, black was a pawns. He was like enjoying his life. You know, he thought Capablanca was crazy, right? He thought Capablanca was crazy to just sacrifice the pawn just to get the king active. But now the game is no more, down. He just captures the pawn, and now the pawn count is equal. Three pawns, and this is even more worse. The king is like, suffocating here on the 8th rank. He's tired. He wants to roam the world, guys. Even he wants to see the world, how it looks like. But he's been stuck in the 8th rank in the eternity. Right? He's been stuck in the 8th rank. And in the meantime, this king has roamed the world. He's just loving it. Right? So he plays rook e4, and at this point, the game is equal. And I know you guys can also convert this, right? You guys can surely convert this victory, right? But let's just see how the conversion worked, okay? So he plays king f6 again. That's what he loves, right? Capablanca loves to play king f6. That's his favorite move, right? Threatening mate. So he plays rook f4, and now he plays king e5 to attack the rook, and now he's going to take the pawn, right? And this is just now easy, right? White just goes after the queen side pawns, right? Contrasting the activity of the two kings. So he plays rook g4, attacking the pawn. And now he plays another genius move. You know what? You can just have my pawns. If he takes, then you can just trade on and just go to a winning endgame, right? So, absolutely beautiful, guys. So, he doesn't take, and so what? You just take the pawns, and now he plays rook g8. And now you just take this pawn, he attacks, he cuts off the king. He's like, no more activity for your king, but Capablanca, it was like, the true definition of cutting off is this, buddy, not this, right? So he plays king d6, and some few moves happened. He just pushes his passes, right? So he plays rook c7, offering the trade, going to a winning endgame again. So king c6, and he takes the pawn too, takes here, he pushes the pawn, and black just resigns because he's going to win this pawn, he's going to promote this pawn. He's like, no more of this, man. So this was like one of the best, one of the legendary end game. This is the immortal end game, guys. This is the immortal end game, right? No one has ever played such an end game. This is like the elegant end game ever. If you guys can find a better end game, please do send me this end game. If you guys have played an end game better than this, you guys are free to show me, guys. You guys are free to show me such an end game. But the main point of this end game is to just illustrate how king activity matters, right? But I don't suggest you guys to go crazy like him to sacrifice pawns. These guys, when they sacrifice, they calculate a lot. They calculate properly. They just don't go on sacrificing for like no reason, like a maniac, right? That is, if we sacrifice, then we are a maniac. We might do some inaccuracies, right? But these guys play with so much precision, like which is just awesome, right? That's why I keep saying classics are the best, right? Just learn from these old players. It's just the best thing to do. Every great player, name anyone, Kasparov, Carlsen, Vishwanath Anand, have seen all this endgame. They know this endgame by heart, and they've applied it too. Okay, I don't know if they've played it in this way. Okay, but they've learned a lot. Okay, So, anyways, thank you guys for tuning in for this live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. Very instructive, very legendary stream. Right? Not the legendary stream, legendary games. Right? Hope you guys loved it, enjoyed it, and learned something. And yeah, thank you guys. Have a very nice weekend. Hope you guys enjoy your Sundays, your Saturdays, and see you guys next Saturday. Thank you guys. Love you all. Bye bye. Take care. Good night. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. I'm gonna end the stream, guys.